You know, we walk past it every single day, probably without even giving it a second thought. But hidden inside one of the planet's oldest plants is this engineering marvel that could actually reshape our future. I'm talking about moss, and it is hiding a secret superpower.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Moss has been around for more than 400 million years. It's colonized everything from bare rock to tree trunks. But it's missing the one thing that you'd think every plant needs: roots. So that brings up a pretty fascinating question. If you don't have any roots, how in the world do you get a drink?
To survive on land, moss had to solve this fundamental problem. And its solution? Well, it was basically to reinvent plumbing from scratch.
Right, so this is where moss just completely breaks the rules. Most plants we know, they're endohydric. Think of it like they have internal plumbing. Roots suck up water and stems act like pipes to move it around. Mosses, on the other hand, are ectohydric. They wear their plumbing on the outside, pulling water directly across their surfaces using the power of tiny little channels called capillaries.
But this whole external system is so much more than just a simple sponge. It's a dynamic, shape-shifting water engine. And this is where we find its real secret.
It all comes down to this biological concept called poikilohydric. Now, that's a mouthful, but it just means that, unlike other plants, which are constantly fighting to stay hydrated, mosses just go with the flow. Their internal water level simply matches the air around them. So instead of trying to resist drying out, they became absolute masters of rehydrating. Like, instantly.
And we're not just talking about passive surface tension here, like when a paper towel wicks up a spill. No. It's way cleverer than that. The moss actively powers its own water uptake. It does it through this incredible physical transformation.
Okay, so here's how this engine actually works. First, when it's dry, the moss's leaves are curled up into these tight little corkscrews. This creates super powerful, narrow channels with intense suction. The moment the first drops of water hit, they're just sucked right in. That triggers the leaves to rapidly uncurl and expand, and then, in their final wet state, these now open leaves form a huge interconnected network, which is just perfect for storing that water and moving it across the entire plant.
But wait, how does a tiny little leaf generate that much force to uncurl itself?
Well, the secret is baked right into its design. It has these specialized border cells along the edge of the leaf, and they swell up at a different rate than the cells right next to them. This creates a tension that works exactly like a bimetal strip in an old thermostat, forcing the entire leaf to bend and uncurl with a surprising amount of power.
Now, that is a really elegant theory, right? But how do we know it's actually true? For that, we got to turn to the incredible experimental work of a researcher named David Hinsman.
Hinsman wanted to actually measure this effect. So he took these cushions of moss and he measured how fast they could absorb water from two different directions. From the top, where all those amazing leaves are, and from the bottom, where you'd normally expect a plant to drink. The question was simple. How much faster is this leaf-powered engine, really? The results were just stunning. When he watered the moss from the top, letting that leaf engine do its thing, the moss absorbed water nearly 3 times faster. This proves that leaf mechanism isn't just some little helper, it's the main engine driving the whole process.
And get this, at its absolute peak, the efficiency is just staggering. Hinsman's data showed the moss could absorb over 20% of its own dry mass and water every single second. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like a person drinking 20% of their body weight in 1 second. It's an unbelievably rapid process.
So when you find a system this efficient, that's been refined over 400 million years of evolution, you're going to want to copy it. And this is where we move from biology into biomimicry, learning from nature's genius.
As Hinsman himself pointed out, a system that can passively adjust its own supply mechanism, well, that's a potential gold mine for engineers and designers.
And the potential applications here are just huge. I mean, think about it. Hyper-absorbent sponges for emergency spills, way smarter cleaning tissues or diapers, or even tiny mechanical switches that are activated just by a drop of water. By copying these core ideas, the fast uptake, the adjustable channels, the high storage, we could invent a whole new class of material.
Let's just zoom in on that last idea for a second, because it's so cool. Imagine a skin that's wrapped around a building. On a scorching hot day, you just spray it with some water, it soaks it up instantly, and as that water evaporates, it passively cools the entire building. It creates its own comfortable little microclimate. No complex machinery, no extra energy, just smart, nature-inspired design.
So, in the end, we started with this really common plant, and we found a high-tech, shape-shifting engine that was just hidden in plain sight the whole time. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other extraordinary secrets are hiding right there, under our feet, just waiting for us to find them?